my bitch best, but I'ma leave you on your ass, taking up.
Yeah. What's the deal, everybody, man? This is Ricky Montoya checking in, aka the foolest of all bears, and you are now tuned into I Think You're My Driver podcast, man. So thank you to everybody who has been tuning in with me thus far. Of course, if you are not already following me, the at ITYMD.podcast is going to be on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music Podcasts, and everywhere else that you can enjoy podcasts at, man. So thank you so much Thank you so much to everybody who has been tuning in with me thus far. Before I get too far into this episode, I do want to wish everybody a happy new year and welcome you guys back over here to episode 45. Now, episode 45's title in particular is going to be called Tracy Out the Game. So for those of you guys who have been following me and listening along the series, you guys will remember not too long ago, I did release an episode that is called I Miss You, Tracy. For those of you guys who are new into the series, man, I Miss You, Tracy is basically an episode that I released a couple of months back where I talked about my experience with having my very first car, aka the 2001 silver Honda Civic that I crashed on the highway over there on Zane Curve out in Dallas, man. But you know, that we're going to go ahead and conclude the rest of the story because I did give you guys as far as the background experience that I had with that car, but I want to go ahead and give you the conclusion. For those of you guys who know me, y'all know that car in particular, I moved out here to Oklahoma with that car, but what was kind of ironic about when I came out here with the car, that car only lasted maybe a month and a half. So I want to say I moved here in like the end of June and that thing was already down, not working by like the top of August. So it's like, oh, okay, just my luck, right? But it's cool. You know, things work out on their own for their own reasons. So at that time, it was like the weirdest thing whenever it happened. You know how like sometimes when you get those like early warning signs that like something is going to happen, but you know, as like a natural, young adult, you're naturally going to ignore them because you know you cannot take care of it. At least a good like 70 to 80% of people cannot take care of it when they first experience the issue. So that's exactly what happened with this one, man. So paint a little bit of a picture so that way you guys can understand where this is at. So in the end of 2018, when I first moved out here to Oklahoma, my wife and I, we used to live over there on the west side, right off of Wilshire and Lyrewood. So shout out to all the antennas that are poking up. I said that. So on this day in particular, my wife, she sent me to the store and she was like, hey, can you go run to Target really quick? You know, I'm about to make some dinner, but I just need, X, Y, and Z. Can you just go run there really quick, come back? She's like, by the time you get here, I'll probably be already finished and I'll just need the finishing touches with the stuff you're going to bring from the store. Cool. Sounds like a plan. Get in the car, I plug up the aux cord, get ready to go. Zooted and booted, pull out of the apartment complex and out into the main road so that way I can go to my destination. Now, I get to the very first stop sign right outside of our apartment complex. And before I'm trying to pull off at the car, my car kind of hesitated a little bit. The car was like, hold on now. And it literally just kind of like paused for a second. It turned off for a half a second, but then continued going. So I saw it turn off, but when it happened, I was like, come on, man. Like this car got a whole lot of life in it. I'm looking at this dashboard with like 282,000 miles on it. And the first thing I'm thinking is like, this car got a brand new motor at like the top of like 212,000 miles. So I'm really not that concerned as to what is going to come. Little did I know that it was only going to take maybe less than a block for that car to really give out on me fully. So no joke, bro. Turn the corner, get to the following stoplight, and my car just fully dies. Like I'm talking like it died on me at the stoplight and I had no idea. And I'm hitting the gas pedal wondering what's going on. So, of course, go ahead and put the flashers on. And, 9 times out of 10, if you've ever been in a scenario where your car has died at the stoplight, you're by yourself whenever these shits happen. Because whenever things happen, it's never convenient for you. That's one thing that you got to learn in life is that when problems happen, it's not going to happen at your convenience. It's not going to be your multiple choice to where you can choose your life at that time. So you just got to kind of roll with the punches, man. So, of course, everybody's kind of going around. It's a little hot outside. It's, July. Like I said, July, maybe the top of August. So it's a little hot outside. I don't really blame people, and I'm not going to hold it to anybody who doesn't pull over to kind of help me out. Because at the end of the day, nobody is obligated to help you in your time of need. Like I say, been at this stoplight for about a good 3 minutes, and just pertaining to the area that I was at this time, it didn't take but 3 minutes for a police officer to kind of roll through to see and assess the scene to see what's going on. So, of course, he jumps right behind me. I got my flashes on. He flashes his light. He hops out the car and just runs up on me really quick. And the first thing that he says, he was like, "Hey, man, are you okay?" I was like, "Well, I mean, my car died. So, I'm doing as good as I can be at this point." And he was like, "You know what? Don't even worry about it, man." He was like, "I'll go ahead and help you get up out of here." And so, I'm over here thinking like, "Oh man, here comes this good Samaritan, this helper that's going to help me out," right? Police officer gets right back into his car, puts his car in the drive, bumps into the back of my bumper to at least give me enough momentum to turn the corner. Now, me over here thinking that, oh, okay, here comes somebody to help me. They're going to go ahead and help me all the way. Nope. He just really needed to give me that push to at least get me off of the main road. That whatever happened after that was not his problem, is what I understood. So, take that with a grain of salt when it comes to accepting help from strangers. So, pull around the corner, I'm turning on a Rockwell, and there's one immediate little parking lot that you can turn into. But just my luck, it is an incline that I'm having to pull up on. Like I say, car died. Police officer had to push me in their car, bumper to bumper, to at least help me go down the hill to make that turn. Now, as I'm driving up this incline, of course, me and my little, 165 pounds on a really good day, I'm not moving that Honda Civic by myself. I'm going to be 100% honest, bro. I can move a couple couches and, move a drawer or two, but I am not pushing a Honda Civic up a hill. So I'm over there struggling just to kind of just help keep it in position. And finally, I was like, you know what? F it. I give up. Pull the e-brake and just go ahead and call my wife. And I'm like, "Hey, my car died." So she was like, "Oh my gosh, like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?" I was like, "Well, I mean, we're going to have to call a tow truck, of course." So, I sat in that car, called the tow truck. The tow truck, came. Of course, tow trucks, they're never in no super hurry. I'm not saying that it's, like I say, when something happens, it's never at your convenience. So I shouldn't think any less whenever other people are inconvenienced to come and help me, so to say, right? So tow truck finally pulls up, he gets the car loaded up on the car. He's like, "All right, like, where are we go ahead and take it?" And I'm not joking. Like, I wasn't even but 3 blocks away from our apartment. Like, we're literally like right there. So he didn't have much of a travel time. And in all honesty, man, he should have done this out of the kindness of his heart. But of course, like every other thing, somebody wants some money. So get the car, pull it back into the apartment. Luckily for us, this apartment actually did have a garage. What's kind of ironic is that because we didn't get a chance to go to the store, it was one of those scenarios where I'm pretty sure it was a Sunday. And as all other businesses do on Sunday, they like to close early. So I don't think we had dinner at that time because we were so fixated on like, dang, what are we going to do about your car? How are you going to get to work? We work in 2 different areas, X, Y, and Z, and we're trying to, figure out the things. But those are the times to where you and your wife slash husband slash girlfriend slash boyfriend or whatever you got going in your life, that's the time when you guys can come together and really create that partnership to figure out how you guys are going to lean on each other in a time of need. So luckily, at that time, my wife had just got a new car, maybe had the car, I want to say a little bit over a year, if that. And her old car that she used to drive, which used to be her mom's car, was still sitting at her house. I say this to say I had an extra car that I had no idea was going to be available. So I go ahead and take over my wife's old car. Now, this old car, for just my luck, only lasted maybe about a good month. So I'm going on about my first 3 months in a brand new state, and I'm already gone through 2 cars, and it hasn't even been a full 90 days of me experiencing a brand new area, bro. So already right off the bat, I'm like, so I moved out here on a whim. I got everything planned out as much as I could to be strategic to come out here, but I didn't get my car taken care of in the way that I was supposed to because I thought this car was going to last for however many more ages. And on top of that, I didn't really have my money set up to where I could just, you know what, let me go ahead and just go to the lot tomorrow. I'm just going to go ahead and cash out and go ahead and get me that Hellcat that I've been looking at since 2015. No, bro. So it was just one of those things where, young adult getting things figured out. It is what it is. You just roll with the punches and don't let it stop your motion. So, next car gave out on me and I'm out of a car. But at this time, my wife and I kind of had like different schedules. So she was able to kind of at least take me to work. That way she could at least go to work and go work her shift. Because I think we got off around the same time, but I went in like 2 hours earlier than she did. So it just happened to work for the schedule that we had going. So fast forward to about November. My wife was working a shift to where she had to go in a little bit earlier. So our schedules had to kind of move around with each other. She was still able to pick me up from work, but when it came to dropping me off to work, that kind of went a little bit out the window. So basically what we did is we came together, created a plan, and found a way that where I could still get to work on time and she would be able to go to work at her early scheduled time, and it was not going to cause any inconveniences for us together as a collective. As far as on the morning side, of course, she starts working this earlier shift, and the job that she was working at the time kind of gave her a heads up to say, hey, we're thinking about moving somebody permanently into this time frame. And, this is a time frame where most of the people would love to come in. But since you've been working, we just want to go ahead and give you that heads up that the position is available. So if you want to go ahead and apply for it, there's not a whole lot of competition as far as for this specific classroom. So you might want to go ahead and take it. So she comes home, she tells me, she's like, hey, so they're about to open up the position for the time slot that I've been coming in. And the way that they've been talking to me about this, they make it seem like I'm the next runner up and this shift is going to be permanent for me starting next week. So she's like, I don't want to go ahead and rush into this, but we kind of don't have much of a choice. So we got to go ahead and get you a new car. So my wife, the car that she had got from this place out here in Oklahoma City that's called First Rate Autos. First Rate Autos is basically a place that is owned by all of the banks and credit unions in Oklahoma. And they sell cars that either have been repossessed by the bank or cars that have been sold back to the bank that were being financed through this bank. So my wife was like, you know what? I got my car from here, so I know we should be able to find a car for you, but we're not going to go ahead and rely on that. We're just going to go exploring for this weekend. It's a little Saturday and Sunday, November. So literally, we straight up were like, okay, cool. We just got to, get all this together, and we're just going to go explore different car lots. So I want to say that day, we probably went to about 3 or 4 different car lots. So as most people know, if you're in the car market, there's 2 different type of car lots that you can go to. There's the car lot where at least a good 60-70% of us are not walking out of there with a car. Or there's the other car lots where you are going to walk away with the car, but there's no telling how long that car is going to last. And you know that by the amount of time that they're going to give you to make those payments. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at that. Let your mind wander on this. So go to a couple lots, not really seeing anything that's sticking out as far as what I'm comfortable with paying at the time. So she's like, it's okay. We still have the First Rate Auto so we can go explore. She's like, I haven't really looked at the website, and I know you haven't been looking at the website. So let's just go ahead and just go there. Let's see what they have, and we'll take it from there. So pull onto the lot. We're walking around. There's a couple cars that are on the selection. At that time, I wasn't really looking for anything in particular, but the Civic that I was driving was a coupe. So I was like, you know what? My minimum, I have to have 4 doors. First car that I walk up to is a red Nissan Altima. Now, for those of you guys who are adults and are paying for insurance, red cars on insurance for a young man between the ages of 20 and 21, red flag already right off the bat. But it was already tinted. The seats were leather and it had a touch screen. So that already kind of met my needs that I was looking for. So I was like, I think I'm willing to settle. The car had a little bit more miles than I was willing to accept it for. But I'm looking at the Nissan Altima, but I'm really not sold on it, all because of the color of the car. So I'm walking around the lot a little bit more, and it's a smaller lot. So you can kind of see the selection right there as far as like what you can look at. So after I start walking around that car, my wife, she's like, hey, baby, look what they have. They have a Dart. You know how you always say that you wanted a Dart? Like, look at this Dart right here. And I'm looking at it, and like right off the bat, I was kind of like, I don't know if this is the Dart that I want, because at that time, when I did want a Dart. I wanted, I'm a dude, so I want to make sure that this is the one with the full package. I need the 6 cylinder. I need the SXT or whatever other model that they had. And it didn't have like a backup camera. It had no tint on the windows. And it had like this little bumper sticker on the back that I was like, man, why in the world would I want this car? And she was like, oh, like, come on, like, it's a car, they only want X amount for it. So let's go ahead. Let's ask the guy if we could just test drive it. Let's test drive it. Let's at least just see what it is. Let you, get behind the wheel and see if this is something that you want. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So get in the car unlocks. And as soon as I open the door, I see the mileage on the dashboard. And the mileage on the dashboard, I am not joking when I say this, it had 9,000 miles. So I think it was like 9,007 miles or something like that. So I was like, what? I was like, look at this. I'm like, this only has 9,000 miles on it. She was like, what? She was like, this is basically a brand new car. It's a car that you've always wanted. So let's go ahead and let's take it for a spin. So we're all excited. I'm driving the car and I was like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So this is just one of those things to where it's just like, oh yeah, like I definitely would love to have a car like this. Like who would want to pass up a basically brand new car at the age of 20? Like it's such low price. And being that it had like 9,000 miles on it, not going to have to worry about anything major. It drives pretty smooth. The only thing that I'm like not really super okay with is that the windows have no tint on it whatsoever. I'm talking about fish bowl, front to back. But, at this time, I need a car, so I'm trying my best not to be super picky. And it met the needs that I was looking for at that time. Just to kind of brush back on a point that I started on with this story, when we walked up to this Dart, the first thing my wife says is, hey, you've always wanted a Dart. Like, look at this. Let's go grab the keys. Let's test drive it. Let's see if this is something that you want. So my love for the Dodge Dart specifically started in 2015, maybe 2016 at the Martin Luther King Parade in Dallas. So very first time I've ever been to the Martin Luther King Parade, had no idea what to expect. It's my mom, my sister, and I. Now this parade in particular, it wasn't something that was like super, super memorable as far as like the amount of things that I saw. But the cool thing about this parade in particular is they had this, what do you call it? They had this group of people that called themselves the Mopar Brothers. So Mopar is basically a brand title that is under Dodge in particular, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and I forget the other one. So Mopar, I believe, is like the brand that holds like the parts or whatever the case, but it doesn't really matter. So Mopar Brothers, they pull up, they have the Dodge Challengers, Dodge Chargers, Ram trucks, tricked out Jeep Wranglers, you name it. So all these cars are coming down, they got tinted windows. Some of them have like the rims, they have like the underglow lights, and it's like, just real like typical like car dude type of stuff or woman, whatever you claim. So I'm looking at all these cars and I'm like, dang, like these cars actually look pretty cool. And just like that inclusion of a group to where people found something that they have common interest in and created a group out of. Thought it was the coolest thing on the planet. But the only thing that really, really stuck out is there was a car in particular that I have never seen before, which was the Dodge Dart. At that time, I think one of them had like the limited edition model or, one of like the fully loaded ones. So I'm seeing like the little badges, people have like the rims on it. They changed the bumper and just made it look a certain way to where I was like, huh. I was like, that's a cool looking car. It's not super big. It's not too small. And I know for a fact, being that it's a Dodge, it's not too far down. It's not too far of a step down from a Charger, which was the next thing that I was wanting at that time. So I'm like, you know what? If I can't get the Charger, let me get the Dart to see if I really like Dodges. That way, when it's time for me to bite the bullet and purchase that Charger, I've already went through my pre-trials of driving the Dart. So this is all racing through my mind as I'm test driving this car and going up and down this freeway of being in this car that is, soon to be mine. All I got to do is go back in and say, hey, man, I enjoyed the car. Let's go ahead and start the paperwork. So get back to the dealership. I get my ID back and I start the process. And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, man, we got that car probably on the lot maybe like a week and a half ago. And, these cars don't really last at this lot well. And he was like, I didn't even notice that this is the one car that we have that has under 10,000 miles on it. So you're getting a fantastic deal on this, man. Like, congratulations to you. And basically, he explains to me the process. He was like, okay. He was like, so this is what we're going to do. He was like, what kind of bank do you have? And I tell him the name. And he was like, that's perfect. We already have a partnership with them. You call your bank, you let them know that, hey, I'm going to purchase a car. He was like, I don't know if you've already got pre-approval or not. And I tell him, I said, oh, I'm pre-approved. He was like, okay, cool. So now all you have to do is go call the bank. You tell them, you say, I found a car. I know I'm pre-approved for this much. This is how much the car is. So, we go ahead and get the process started. So fast forward a couple of days. Ironically, the day that I go and pick up the car, which I believe was a Monday, I already had off of work because I was planning on going out of town for something, but I don't remember in particular what I was doing. So just kind of worked out for us in the best. So drop my wife off at work and I'm going to run around getting some errands taken care of. I think like I took my dog to go to the groomer, just like typical young person stuff. So, I'm already on the side of town. I go into the bank, I get my check so that way I can go and get my car. And now I just got to go and take my wife's car back to the house and then get in the Uber to go and pick up my car. So, of course, in typical Ricky fashion, if you haven't been following the podcast, what do I do before I go home? I go and get me a pizza and I go and get me a soda. Because the one thing that I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go home and be hungry whenever I've been out on the road all day. And I am not going to go home without a soda because those are the two essential Ricky fuel that I need to keep moving in the world. So go home, catch the Uber, go to the lot, go and pick up. I pick up right before he was about to close, but he was already expecting me. So he was like, oh, okay, cool. He was like, well, shoot, here's your paperwork. He was like, let me go ahead and process this check. I'm going to give you the keys. We're going to send you on about your way. And I'm going to close up this damn store so I can go home too. I know you're excited just as much as I am. So let's go ahead and get this process started. So basically, get the paperwork. He hands me this little packet in a folder and gives me the keys and tells me, congratulations, get out of my store. So get in the car and I'm like, oh, snap. I got a new car. I'm like 20 years old. And especially like one of those things to where you're like, you go and get a car, quote unquote, off the lot, so to say. And you're just like, dang. I'm like, bro, I got my charger already. I already got a pack of air fresheners. I'm already trying to make it my own. But I'm also like, let me not lag too much time because dude already says that he's trying to close up shop. So I'm driving around, I'm getting acquainted. I jump on the highway. I'm trying to see like, okay, can I push it to 90? Can I push it to 100? Let me get on the turnpike. Let me figure out all these different things, Time fast forwards and I go ahead and pick up my wife from work. It's about 5-6 o'clock this time as I'm rolling around in my new whip. I'm feeling like the new man in town. I got the new whip. The only difference is I don't have a paper plate. So I'm feeling official. Nobody can tell me that this isn't my car because I don't have the paper plates on it. Is what I'm telling myself, but it doesn't matter. So go and drive over to my wife's job. I'm trying to be all careful. I'm not trying to hit curves. I'm driving all extra slow, acting like I'm like, oh, this is my precious car. I don't want nothing bad to happen to it or whatever the case. So I'm pulling in and I'm waiting outside. And as the time's rolling by, basically the way that I'm feeling like the new man in town. I'm feeling like the big man on campus in a brand new car, no paper plate, feeling like I just drove it off the lot. So how do I feel in this moment? If any of you guys have ever seen the Proud Family movie, I'm feeling like 15 Cent going to pick up Penny, man. So I go and pull up. I got my car. Ain't got no rims. It ain't got no tint. But I'm feeling like the big man on campus, man. And I pick up and my wife gets in the car. She's like, oh, look at you with the new car. And she's all like, oh, like you got the cool music playing. Like you got your new car. It smells all good. Like, look at you. She's like, how do you feel? I'm like, man, I feel so good. I could feel so good having the new car. Of course, I love that we've been carpooling and doing all this, but I'm happy to know that I have my own car. It's a good feeling. And knowing that I get to go to work tomorrow and show off the new car, it's an even better feeling. Like I say, at the end of the day, all of this comes down to gassing up my ego. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like the man in town because I got me a new car. So fast forward a little bit of time, probably about close to a year of me owning this car. At this time in particular, I was a producer making beats. And a homie of mine that I met at that time had basically put me on to this local bar that's out here in town. I believe at this time it was called Kendall's Bar. And he was like, hey, bro, like you've been showing me all these beats and, I think you have what it takes. So he's like, I work with this dude who he runs like a studio, and every once in a while he does like open mics, network sessions to where everybody can come together. And around, I think it was like 2 weeks from when he told me about this, he was like, at this bar over there, right on the other side of the fair, it's this bar called Kendall's Bar, and they're about to have a beat making competition. So I'm like, okay, what is that? And he's like, well, it's exactly what it sounds like, man. A bunch of beat makers come together, they play their beats, people judge them, and you win. And I'm like, oh, okay, so, what's the winning prize? And he's like, well, he's like, winning prize. He was like, of course, it's a small thing, but the winning prize, the person who gets first place, they win $150. The person who was second, I think they got like some kind of placement in like studio time or something like that. So it was just like, oh, okay, like I don't really give a damn. I'm feeling myself. Like I say, I got this new car. I'm really 15 cent, but my deposit has been, going negative a little bit. So I'm just trying to ride my high horses on the talents that I had at this time. So fast forward the week of it, I'm trying to get prepared. Basically I have to submit 3 different beats. I already had 2 beats that were right off the bat that like I know for a fact these are winners. Now I just got to figure out my third one. So at this time I was working at this dealership, and I would bring my laptop with me so that way I could either do it on break or whenever it was super slow. I was making a beat whenever I'm sitting over there on the drive. So cook up my beats, and the day is rolling up. And like I say, when I bought this car was brand spanking new, fishbowl. And I've been driving it for about a year like this, and I'm fed the fuck up with it. So an opportunity happens, and we have a tent company that had worked for us at this dealership. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, so I know tent can get a little bit expensive, but being that you are personal to the company that I work for, I may be able to get some kind of discount. And I'm talking to one of the service advisors because he had a very close relationship with the lady over the company. And I'm asking him, I'm like, hey, bro. And I'm like, so I kind of want to get my car tinted. I've been having it for about a year, but I'm a little leery because I don't know how expensive it can get. And he was like, oh, yeah, bro, it can get pretty expensive. He was like, it just depends on like the grade that you're looking to have your windows tinted. And he was like, but, we have the window tint lady who comes out here. I think her name was Jill. He was like, next time you see her, he was like, she comes here like usually on like Wednesdays, Thursday, and Fridays is when she comes and picks up cars from us. He was like, next time you see her, he was like, pull her to the side and, see if she'll work out some kind of deal. He was like, every time whenever I go and get my windows tinted, I'm paying like $220. But that's only because whenever I get my windows tinted, I'm getting the car's window tint taken off so that way I can get limo tint. So it's going to cost a little bit more. And he was like, but more than likely, you're probably not going to spend more than $150, maybe $180 at the most. And he was like, shoot, she'll probably do it for $150 and charge you like $10 more to give you that little lip at the top on the front windshield. So he's like, yeah, just say something whenever you see her. So ironically, same day she comes up and I pull her to the side and I'm like, hey, I want to get my car window tinted. Like, let me know the process, tell me how much it's going to cost. And she asked me, she was like, what kind of car? I tell her, I'm like, it's this car. And there's 4 windows that need to be tinted. It has no tint on it whatsoever. So I just need to know the price. And she was like, well, she was like, typically for this grade, I can charge you this much. And I asked her if she had 15%. And she was like, I actually do. She was like, I can give you the 15% and I'll do it for $150. I was like, oh, okay, say less. So I go and get these car windows tinted. And like I say, there was a beat competition and it was actually happening that same night. So in my mind, I already have this ego on a 10 that lets me know that tonight when I go to this beat competition, I'm getting first place and I'm going to get that $150. That way I can reimburse myself and pay for my windows. Is how I'm thinking about it. But sometimes whenever you shoot for the stars, you tend to miss and you go a little bit lower than you're expected to reach. So get the windows tinted, car comes back. I'm all feeling myself. I'm all prepared. I'm on a high. I got like my beats were bumping. Submit my 3 beats. The day goes on. I go home for work. And I think like the competition was at like 7:30 or something like that. So basically got off of work at 6 o'clock, came home, changed my clothes real quick, jumped back in the car and left. And it was one of those things to where like, just to kind of give you a little glimpse on the type of person I was at that time. I did it kind of like on my own, and I was like, this is like my car. I'm gonna do this for my car, this, and that. So I went and got the windows tinted because in my mind, I'm about to win this competition tonight. So the money's not gonna be something that I'm worried about because I'm gonna go ahead and pay for it when I win tonight. So I'm over here thinking like, oh, I'm gonna surprise my wife with my car, with car window tinted, all this, and that. No. So go to the beat competition. I ended up placing third, which wasn't the worst thing to me, but I was just mainly upset because I didn't get that $150 to pay for the windows that I just got tinted that night, fool. So I was like, damn. And I'm like kind of upset, but at the same time, I'm happy because I finally don't have a fishbowl of my windows. I'm not being able to walk around through the store parking lot and being able to pick my car out to be like, oh yeah, there's my car. I can see straight through. So, basically have the windows tinted, but it's one of those things to where I'm starting to realize that there's like little details about my car that I'm taking for granted because at the end of the day, the only thing that you really need to be worried about is getting from point A to point B. Fast forward, basically around this time of me actually having the car, I was also driving Uber, Lyft, Uber Eats, DoorDash, etc., etc. So I was giving myself like a little bit of extra security, so to say, with getting the windows tinted. But I still found myself every once in a while of not being satisfied with where I was because even though I wanted the Dodge Dart for a lot of years, there was always that little piece in me that was like, dang, what if I got this? I should have got this, woulda, coulda, shoulda. And I'm taking what I have for granted, even though I got this brand new car. Whenever I got it, had less than 10,000 miles on it and probably had been sitting in the garage for probably at least 2 years. So I'm basically putting all the dents. I'm putting all the dings. I'm giving it all the miles. I'm putting the, pedal to the metal, boots on the ground, whatever you want to say about this car. So, like I say, taking it for granted because I'm always like, dang, like I'm doing Uber and Lyft, but like since it's a little bit of a smaller car, I don't have much of a back seat. Or if somebody taller gets into my car, I can move the seat all the way up, but they're still kind of scrunched up. So I'm like always thinking about other people, but completely negating the fact that this is my car that I drive to get me to my destinations. And just because I drive Uber and Lyft, driving Uber and Lyft has nothing to do with my priorities that I use this car to get me through, if that makes sense, man. So driving Uber and Lyft, I think at this time of this in particular story, I had maybe been driving it for about 2 years. And majority of the times, I'm not going to say that I didn't get compliments on the car, but I wasn't also driving the car to get compliments or people to notice me driving the car. It was one of those to where it's like, oh, somebody complimented on like, oh, wow, it smells really good in here. Oh my goodness, it's so clean, which is something that you would definitely want to hear. But, nothing beats better than like, dang, like this is a nice car. Like, what year is this car? What type of this? How long have you had this? Nothing's better than having those kind of conversations because all it does is just feed into the ego that you have of yourself. So go and pick up these passengers. It was a group of like 3 people. They're a little bit young on the younger side. I want to say somewhere between like 18 and maybe 22. And I'm picking them up from this apartment complex that's over there off of Northwest 18th, if I'm not mistaken. And the place that I'm picking up from, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a description so you can kind of understand my mindset with these passengers, it's a one way in, one way out type of apartment complex. So pull into this apartment complex and I'm driving around a little bit. Finally found the people, 3 of them that were standing in the very back of this complex. So already right off the bat, pulling into the place, taking a look, and my antennas are starting to stick up. And I'm like, let me just pick these people up, just get up out of here. Let me not linger too much. Let me not drive in circles. Just go to where the pinpoint is, park, say I'm here, cut. So people get in the car and, basic, hey, how you doing? Are you such and such? Oh, okay, nice to meet you, man. My name is Ricky, X, Y, and Z. So they all get in the car and they're all talking amongst each other because it was a group of 3 friends. And one of the dudes in the car, he starts talking to me and he's like, hey, bro, like, hey, nice to meet you, man. Like, how you feeling today? It's like, how long you been doing this? He's asking me all the general questions and stuff like that. And he was like, all this time that you've been driving Uber and Lyft, have you been driving this car this time? And I was like, yeah, man. Like, I've had this car for, I think, probably like 2 years at the time of this story. And I tell him, I'm like, I think I've been having this car about 2 years. He was like, dang. He was like, it's crazy to like think that you've had this car for as long as you said, and it's still in like really good condition. Like it looks damn near brand new. I was like, oh, for real? And I'm like, oh, thank you, bro. He's like, yeah, bro, no problem. And I'm like telling him, I'm like, it's funny that you say that because when I purchased the car, I actually purchased the car and it had like 9,000 miles on it. So kind of is like a brand new car. He was like, oh man, that's what's up. And I always love to bring up about how I bought the car with 9,000 miles on it because it was such an accomplishment to me. So, of course, like I say, somebody feeds into the ego. I'm going to give you all the little fuel that has fueled up this ego that I have. So, back to the point at hand. So he's like, yeah, man. He's like, this car is like super nice. Like, I love how you've been able to keep it in condition, knowing that you have people getting in and out of it. And he's like, is this like your full time thing? I'm like, no, man, it's not my full time, but I basically drive like I do it full time. So I guess you could say it is. And he was like, well, yeah, man. He was like, I think it's really cool that you've been able to keep this car looking so pristine in the way that you do, man. So, I definitely congratulate you, man. He was like, it's a good thing you don't live out here in this hood, though, man. And I was like, what makes you say that? He's like, shoot. He's like, over here in the hood, man. He's like, people don't like whenever you got nice things, dude. He was like, so I guarantee you, like, if you lived over here and you had a car like that, man, it'd be a month before somebody takes that car or just wrecks it just because they're upset that they don't have something nice as you do. I was like, oh, okay. That's a kind of interesting thing to say to somebody. So I just kind of brushed it off, changed the subject. He ends up continuing to talk to his friends. And from that point of him bringing up about how people would destroy my car if I lived in the hood, he proceeds to then start telling a story about how he spent a lot of time in and out of jail for a couple of years. So it was like kind of one of those things to where he put a bug into my ear to be like, hey, don't let me catch that car back over here, man, because I'm going to be the one to take this car from you. It's kind of what I'm thinking to myself, but I'm, just kind of brushing it off and we're just going to move on about our day. So I don't think there's ever really been a time to where I've like thought to myself to where it's like, man, I don't ever want to affect anybody's future. People who make their own decisions, that's, their fault and their business on those things that they do. But the fact that I was feeling threatened that he was going to take my car, my inner Karen kind of turned on, or my inner Karen Kevin switch flipped on in my brain. And I was like, wow. I'm like, so you talked about how you've spent a little time in and out of jail over the last couple of years. And before you start telling these stories, you make a remark on saying that if my car was in the hood and somebody saw it, somebody would destroy it or try to take it from me because it looks nice. Nobody has ever said anything like this to me, so it let me know that he was the one that was plotting on it. He was just hoping that he ran into me on another occasion. So me thinking with my forward thinking and thinking at 1,000 miles in 30 seconds, my brain is telling me, okay, so we can go about this one of three ways. We can continue on with this ride, drop these people off at this destination. You can continue talking to this guy to trying to get more information, or you can be the Karen and go ahead and, make a police report real quick and snitch on him for making a dry, empty threat. Because if there's one thing that you're going to learn as an adult, people will tell you their plans that they are planning on executing, whether you are involved or whether you are not involved. When somebody has an idea that is fresh on their mind, that is the most amount of time to where somebody is going to want to express an idea. So the way how I took it in that moment, I took it that he basically was alluding and telling me to say, hey, if I catch you around in this area and you're driving this nice ass car, that car is mine. I didn't know what plans that he had intended to take this car or whatever he was planning on doing with the car. But in that moment, I was like, you know what? I'm never coming back here ever again. If I get a request and it's going to, hey, you're going to Northwest 18th Street, such and such apartment complexes, I'm like, nope. Like in Friday, whenever Debo beat up that one dude, he said, what, you want a piece of me too, old man? No. Like, that's for real how I felt. I was like, you know what? I'm not ever going to come back here. But in a nutshell, what's kind of funny is like thinking about like that moment in particular on how I'm like, in a negative way, reminded not to take my stuff that I have for granted. Whenever you're doing stuff like that, and when you're going through the motions as far as like just driving your car, having a phone, the regular necessities that you have, you tend to take them for granted because it's something that you do or have on a regular basis. So when somebody like that decides to point out about how they think that your car is really nice, you're taking it at face value because it's also like a reminder, like, huh, okay, so I do have nice things. Wow, so I am able to provide for myself and able to do things because people can see you or see the things that you do in another light that sometimes we fail to realize that we are in or fail to realize that we have on our own, man. So basically, think about it like this. When you're going through life, a lot of the times, we have a routine. Wake up for work, get ready, drive to work, go to lunch break, scroll on Instagram, TikTok, maybe eat a sandwich or a burger, or in my case, I eat a vegan burger, veggie burger, or whatever the case. So it's kind of one of those things to where we have a regular routine to where I'm not going to say not appreciating what we have, but we don't put as much time into appreciating the things that we have because it's such a regular thing that we're working through. So when you get into a scenario where somebody is giving you that, not going to say praise, but giving you those slight little pick me up compliments, it reminds you that there's been a lot of things that you've been taking for granted or things that have been going unnoticed that are nice, luxurious, or just a necessity that not a lot of people have. So you having that slightly puts you ahead of the curve, but it reminds you that, hey, I'm making the right decisions in life, and not saying that you're frowning on others who have not made the right decisions, but being that you've taken the right time to be a responsible adult, take care of your business, have a nice car, make sure that the car continues to be nice, and you continue to do everything that you can to maintain your nice things, you realize that it's like, hey, I've been doing everything that needs to be done, but because I'm so fixated on my regular routine, my stresses that I have, the dreams, or whatever the case, a lot of the times we tend to take ourselves out of the now. And there's one thing that I realized as an adult now at 27 years old is that being in the now means way more than being fixated on what happened to you prior to now or trying to escape from now to hopefully go to a brighter future. But the best way to get you a brighter future is to make sure that you can sit through that rainy weather. You sit through those nights to where it's dark and quiet outside, but your mind is louder than anything else, man. So the times whenever you really sit down and you really soak in the now, man, it's going to be so much easier for you to be able to really take in to when the good things happen to you in the future. So let that be a reminder to sit with yourself and remind yourself that even whenever you feel like you're not making the right decisions or you're not doing the right things, when somebody gets in your car and they tell you, man, hey, come back to this hood and I'm taking this car from you, it lets you know like, hey, maybe I did make a good decision in buying this car. Maybe I didn't make a bad decision in, doing X, Y, and Z as far as like what you would typically do outside of your norm, because what one person has may not be a treasure to you, but somebody else is dying to get the opportunity to do what you don't want to do what you refuse to do, or decide to procrastinate on attacking. So it's very important for you to make sure that you are attacking the now. So that way, whenever the future happens, all the preparation that you've been doing now is going to maintain as part of your routine in the future, man. So yeah, man, I do thank everybody who has always tuned in with me thus far. As always, if you are not following me, itymd.podcast. That's on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music Podcasts, and everywhere else that you can enjoy podcasts at. That email, itymd.podcast@gmail.com, is for any stories that you have or any stories that you want to share with the Foo Bear, man. So, of course, like I always say, my name is Ricky Montoya, a.k.a. the Fooest of all bears.
Going too fast, 150 on our dash, bitch keep up, please don't crash, that's 501